Hello, welcome to Travis for the People. We are here today to talk about some serious thing. I just want to welcome everybody to Travis for the People. I'm your host, Travis, and before we talk about anything else, I just this channel without curiosity. Somebody shared it with you, or you just need something real today. I believe you here for a reason. Again, Travis for the People is for real change and real solution and real results. We're going to talk from my series of episodes of what's happening in Lincolnville, but we're going to do a special edition on today called The Gerrymandering States from the Past to the Present. We are going to find out exactly how gerrymandering was created, why it was created, and how it's still in play today in light of all of these things going on in that country, denying the mainly black people and brown people access to the poll in the South, access to having representation in for their communities in the South and all southern states seem they running that old same old Dixiecrat line, which we will discover in this lesson on today. So stay tuned. Let's stay on, buckle up, get some information, get a pen and paper and a pad, lock in, record, do what you need to do, because there's gonna be viable information, and I hope and pray that you go ahead and register and vote and prepare to vote in South Carolina on June the 9th in the primaries, and also prepare to vote also in November and share with somebody if our vote was not precious, if our vote did not matter, if our vote did not count, there would not be gerrymandering districts across the South from Virginia all the way to Texas if our vote was not important. So therefore, take that a note and get that stuff out of your head and talk about my vote don't count. That foolishness. Your vote do count, but if you don't vote, they can't count it. So therefore, let's move forward. Today our objective is clear. Let us define gerrymandering, the decision for the Supreme Court, the district rat to the president, and our vote does matter. The definition of gerrymander is clear. It's a deliberate manipulation of electoral district boundaries to give one political party, incumbent, a group, an unfair advantage over rivals. It's strategically drawing maps by politicians to choose their votes to secure more seats and their actually voting strength warranted, resulting in unrepresented election outcome. So the purpose of gerrymandering is the number one is manipulation of the electoral district. And anytime you manipulate anything, that means you trying to trick people, you trying to deceive people, you trying to make people think that there's an advantage for you, and really you already know there's not an advantage. That's why you got to do manipulation. And this is why they're doing gerrymandering across the South, because they realize the numbers are really in the favor of the black and brown people who claim to be in the minority. But if we will vote in numbers like we should, and we should vote every election, we should vote at every midterm, we should vote at every local government that's about that comes up time for election, because it's important. So this is why people think they can get over us and trick us, because they feel that we don't care. But we do care. That's why they're trying to take away your representation by gerrymandering the votes. So therefore, they also usually look at the difference of manipulation of electoral district, also to make sure the incumbent, that we have some incumbent that's already been in office, it ain't worth 2 cents. So we need to vote them out. But they don't want to be voted out because they want to hang on to that power and that status and that control to continue to do unbiased and unfair things to a community that desperately needs their help and their support, which they was elected to do so. So therefore, that's basically what um gerrymander is, to get to draw maps, and if it is strategically designed, it's like they strategically design roads to black community. They strategically align red line black communities. They strategically design to do things to take it to their advantage and make the minority or the black and brown people at a disadvantages. So let's break down Klan again. It's a deliberate manipulation. It's a strategic organized to oppress a certain voters and keep certain voters from having representation. That's why we need to vote and vote these people out of office, because they are not doing as a whole, as the state, as people as a whole, whether you white, black, brown, or whatever, they're not even doing people as a whole any good. So the key aspects to gerrymandering, as we see, that is to maximize the seat who win by the party in power, to protect incumbents, minimize the voting power of the opposition. There's two tactics they call packing, which they draw one district all into one area, and then other districts could be overwhelmed in their favor. What they call cracking, what you see now in Tennessee and Memphis, they split Memphis up in three different areas. Been one area which was packing, now they cracking it, divided it in three to dilute the voting power of the people there, particularly the black people vote in Memphis. And that's what they're doing now and getting ready to do in South Carolina. Redraw the district, the block, take away Jim Cavern's seat. So therefore, it's ridiculous how they're doing these things, and we cannot allow them to do it. We cannot allow them to continue to um um to do these things, and where we be at a disadvantage, where we have no representation. And the only way to block this, and the only way to destroy this methodology that is going on with them, and they thinking that they're in control and they can run things and they can have their way, because they know the country is growing blacker and browner every day. They can't stop it, because that train is coming. That train gonna come, and that truck gonna come. And when they get hit, it's gonna be sad. Understanding the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. It was ratified in 1868. The 14th Amendment is a cornerstone of the U.S. Constitution that grants citizens to all persons born or naturalized in the United States. Now they trying to change that, and they trying to make sure the people that are born here, that may not come from, that have not been born here but come from another country, and they have children that are born now, they want to change that amendment, because they trying to concentrate power again, manipulate. But you can't change the Constitution that been around for hundreds of years, including former slave. It is protect the rights against state level infringement, require due process of law, equal protection of all citizens. We know when it comes down to due process of the law, we have been falling short in America, especially when this deciding vote of the dang on Supreme Court judgment, who's a bunch of clowns up there that go on and try to uh um take away, gutted out the whole section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. It's a shame. It's ridiculous. They call themselves unbiased people up on the court, and supposed to be judging by the law, not by a partisanship side, which they all partisanship side, except for the three that actually voted for the citizens of the United States. The other six, they are nothing but bought, sold, they sold out, and if they don't get right, we know their soul is on the way to hell. And the 14th Amendment It gives us a simple breakdown of the birthright of citizenship, the equal protection, due process, and the application to the state, enforced by the state, not just the federal government, to respect the rights guaranteed by the Bill of Rights. They're supposed to respect people's rights, and they disenfranchising people because they know they're losing their power, they losing their status, they losing their position here in the United States. This is supposed to be the dream of the United. This is why establishment of the United States to be a melting pot of America, not just for people that looks like the white pigmentation and to all of the rule and right. What kind of thing is that? We supposed to be in the United States of America. We was to be a part of a country that we have freedom of spectrum, pursuit of happiness, and things of that nature around those lines. And now you wanna disbar that, but we should expect no different. We find the establishment of this country. They've been disbarred, disenfranchised, abusing people of color for a while. But yet we stood the test of time, and we're going to stand this test as well. So again, the 14th Amendment, and I find something interesting as I was looking through this document here. Section 3 say the insurrection prohibits anyone who engaged in an insurrection against the United States holding office against the United States holding office. Okay, the 14th Amendment insurrection clause was designed to prevent those who rebel against the government from holding office. It was the president of the United States did an insurrection on January 6, 2021, and this joker is still in office. How? If the 14th Amendment in the Secretary Clause has said that if anyone, it said anyone who engaged, anyone, the Supreme Court then deemed that the Congress, not the state, must define and enforce the ban for presidential candidate. Other words, this, that we should have, he should not even be in office, but he's there because those people up there holding office, Lindsey Graham and the rest of those Republican parties, are a bunch of cowards because they know that he shouldn't be there. But here they went to court over it. The Trump and Anderson ruling in March 24th, the Supreme Court ruled that the states lack power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 against the federal ban. How? How they don't lack power if the man calls an insurrection? How? It doesn't make sense. So they reversed, they went to court in Colorado, so the Colorado Supreme Court decision had been disqualified, even though the Supreme Court decision in Colorado say he he was an insurrection, but the United States Supreme Court said that they couldn't prove it, even though it's written there black and white in the 14th Amendment, Section 3, insurrection prohibits anyone who engaged in an insurrection against the United States from holding office. But yet, them jokers up there in the U.S. Supreme Court, they need to be hooked on finance because they can't read. They simply just can't read. The Congress authority, the Supreme Court concluded that Section 5 of the 14th Amendment required Congress to pass specific laws to enforce the insurrection cause rather than allow states to do so individually. And now they're trying to say, okay, Congress should have had a law in place. But a law isn't in place. It's in the 14th Amendment. So why we are going through all of this right here? Other word, because those cronies up there, those cowards up there on the Supreme Court, there's a bunch of cowards. They were sold out. They sold and sold. And I say again, if they don't repent and get right with God, they on the way to hell. Because anytime you do something to hurt people, and that's going against God's will, because you're supposed to love thy neighbor as you love thyself. So they don't love people. They love greed. They love power. They love prestige. But all of that at the end of the day, when you press your dying pillow. That ain't gonna help you, sir. That ain't gonna help you, man. You got to get yourself right with God. And the interpretation of office is illegal. The legal argument were made by Trump team that the president is not technically a office under the United States. That a person is not a officer of the United States. They allow those crony lawyers to use this, but they should have went back. They said it went back in the 14th Amendment, and that Section 2 clause said that anyone is prohibited from holding office if holding office if you did an insurrection against the United. They say anybody prohibited from holding office, not anybody has a office, are deeming that the president it is the office. We say the president of the United States, the office of the president of the United States. I don't know what the lawyers been arguing, who arguing, because I would have fight that. I would have beat that down right there, because right there it says tell you that if anybody is prohibited from using it, says clearly right here, Section 3 of the Fourth Amendment prohibits anyone who engaged in an insurrection against the United States from holding office. I don't understand how we even allow this to happen. It's because they think they're supreme. But thank God that there is a God and their justice is coming. Justice is coming. The lack of conviction say while Section 3 does not explicitly require a criminal conviction, the opponents again argue that Trump have not been charged with or convicted of insurrection, weakening the legal push for disqualification. They need to have a legal position. The amendment said you got to go back to it again. It said in the Section 3 of the Fourth Amendment prohibits anyone who engaged in an insurrection against the United States holding office. So I don't understand how can you be convicted of something if you've never been charged with anything, but he's been already charged and convicted by the amendment while yet going through due process. And matter of fact, if you want to be clear, he is a convicted felony. So let's move on. So as we moving forward, the Supreme Court decision, yes, April 29, 2006, the Supreme Court issued a 62 ruling in Louisiana and the Calais, which legal expert and voting rights advocate describes effectively gutting the remaining core protection of the Voting Rights Act. This decision weakened the Section 2 and prohibit voting practices that discriminate on the basis of race by restricting how it can be used to challenge the radically gerrymandered maps. And as soon as that happened, everybody, all these governors around here now trying to change the maps and trying to do it in their favor. To, targeting the Section 2. Again, it's specifically harder to prove that electoral maps diluted in voting power majority communities allowing for maps to previously deemed discriminatory to stand. In other words, when the maps was already gerrymandered, now it's going to automatically stand now. And are they going to continue to make it even worse and harder for people to have representation, especially those that's not in the majority, like states like Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina. And you see what they're trying to do in Virginia, even though the Virginia voters voted for the extra seats, and that Supreme Court up there denied the voters' right. That lets you know right there that people have been bought and sold because they realize that they are power and title and prestige and all that is coming to end. So it's coming. So we got to continue to fight. So again, the Louisiana County, the court tossed out the Louisiana congressional map that created a second majority black district, claiming it relied too heavily on race. We wouldn't have this problem if you would divide up the lines proportionally, like you're supposed to. But see, you trying to do everything in your favor. So all of a sudden, all of that now it's too heavily on race. All right, then how you gonna have it? You can't have a both way. We want to discriminate and use black people and black brown people at our advantage, and anytime when we feel like it, but when it's against us, now we gonna cite race. And the same people that always say, well, all black people are always using the race card. Now you use the race card, and you've been using the race card for your advantage. So as we move forward, it's a complete demolition of it. Justin Justice Ealing, Ealing Justin Kagan, the senator argument, and she said decade a long effort to dismantle the 1968 law, which was designed to prevent racial discrimination in voting. They do not care. They didn't care about that. They didn't like it when it was signed into law in 1965. So they spent all this time trying to chip away at the Voting Rights Act until they got what they want. Till they got a bunch of cowards up there on the Supreme Court and willing not to stand up for justice and fairness and mercy. But they wanted to go after their own little power. They want to let like my uncle say, they drunk with power to control them. And that's what was going on. These are the people on the Supreme Court. Look at, and even the poll said May 26, 2000, May of 2026, the poll said, it said, how favorable or unfavorable is the opinion of the recent Supreme Court ruling redistricting? 72% of America say it's unfavorable. Only 28 say in favor. That 28 probably those mega people. But let's say those lines affect the mega people. They don't care about the poor mega people. The poor mega people is in the same boat as the poor black people, the poor Hispanic, the poor people that are brown. They all in the same boat. How you can vote against your own interests? How you gonna support something that goes against your own interests? That don't make sense. So here, from the past, the districrats too. Let's get in a little bit of history, because we got old Stephen A. Smith up there with his dumb self. I thought he was an intelligent brother, but he is dumb. He get paid to say that stuff because ain't no way in the world an intelligent black man with no history. The districrat was the Democrats before 1968, 1948, and after 1948. And it said the Democrats, the Dixiecrats, the racism, and the New Public Party in the mid-20s were from mid-20 to June 24th, 2022, at this guy historian right, Mr. McIntosh. After 1948 election, the Dixiecrats began to migrate to the Republican Party in opposition to the civil rights progress. So if Stephen A. Smith, if you would understand why would we give the Republican Party as it is today, you say black people need to vote for the Republican Party just one time. Because his whole theory is that if we vote for him that one time, maybe they'll start doing for the black people. If they ain't been doing for what are you smoking? Or drinking? Or both? Because I don't understand if you don't see here after 1948, the Dixiecrat began to migrate to the Republican Party in opposition to civil rights progress. What are you drinking, Stephen A. Smith? See, they told me a long time ago, just because you skin, that don't mean you can. Strom Thurmond was a Democrat. Our own Strom Thurmond in South Carolina was a Democrat, and he opposed that. So, which means he wanted segregation. He wanted Jim Crow. So here, the Democrat to the president, here go these states that you see, the Deep South, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina. They all part of the look at they just all in this they happy. Now look at it now. Look at it. This is at the solid South. Arkansas voted Democrat in all three presidential elections from 1876 to 1964. That's when the Republican Party, that's when the Democratic Party became the Republican Party, and the Republican Party became the Democrat Party. Other states were not solid, but generally support Democrats for president. I don't understand this mess. Look at this. The Democrats to the present 2026. I hope y'all see it. It's the same thing from the past to the present. The Democrats, known as States' Rights Democratic Party, were a short-lived far-right splinter faction of the Southern Democratic Party that broke away in 1948 to protect racial segregation and white supremacy. What are we doing? What are they doing now? Everything they do, tearing down amendments, keeping black and brown people from ascending to office, gutting the Civil Rights Department of the Justice Department, the Civil Rights Department of Education, just totally gutting the Department of Education out, and the infection disease. This gutting it. Don't want nobody to be educated. Don't want nobody to be healthy. Don't want them to have laws and protection for laws. They want to go way back to what it was then Jim Crow era and segregation and where white supremacy ruled. See, their movement represents a fierce backlash. Again, this white supremacy is a backlash against integration from the start. It's a backlash against the civil rights movement. It's a backlash against progressive, against the very founding core principle of America being a melting pot, where we have a people that come to the land can pursuit of happiness and freedom and liberty and justice for all. They don't believe that. They only believe it for them. They don't believe it for others. So as you see the same old pattern, and as they say, they taught me in college that if you don't do history, you will repeat the history. The Democrats to the present 2000 belief system. This is what they believe in. They believe in their central goal was preserve Jim Crow laws, and prevent federal government from integrating the Southern schools and public facility and workplace. Other words, if they get their way, we'll be going back behind the stove getting food. We'll see across the South, again, whites only, black only. Ain't that a shame? And then it is a shame that they got that rooted in them. It ain't all of them, but it's a whole lot of percentage of them. And the one that saying they not like that, they need to be speaking up. Just like I'm doing. Get on a platform like this and begin to speak against and speak to it. Speak truth to power. They argue the states' rights. They want state rights. By the way, they want to do what they want to do in their own states. The federal civil rights legislature was an unconstitutional encroachment on state authority to govern themselves. Yeah, you want to lynch people, hang people up from trees, rape people, do all kinds of stuff, disenfranchise communities. kill people without any discourse, without any repercussions. This is the system still in place. What do you think snatching up people from kids and pulling kids from their mama is? What do you think that is? That's the same old playbook. This in a different form. Defense of white supremacy to preserve the regional identity. What identity? Right to maintain segregation. But the Confederacy reason wasn't the Confederacy of white supremacy or your heritage. It was the Confederacy of black people. Black people started the Confederacy, have made their own little thing, and then y'all took it and stole it and make it what you want, which functioned as a segue to the fear of increasing political and social power for African American. All this, the Jim Crow is anti-rights, and all these things is targeted against black and brown people. The problem I got with all of this, ain't nobody tell y'all to get on those ships and went to Africa and put us on chains and bring us over here. None of this is our problem. All this is white people problem that they need to fix. This what we got now in the office is the white people problem. It ain't black people because you try to discriminate us forever. You try to kill us by lynching us. You did all kind of degrading thing by raping our women, and what happened? Us watched y'all rape them and do all this other stuff against black people and brown people, and it is none of our fault. It ain't our problem. We didn't cause this. Y'all caused it. But you think it's going to hurt us only, but it's hurting everybody. Look at the farmers in the Midwest losing their farm and their property, bankrupting, because you hire a white supremacist. Anti-federal integration to oppose Truman executive order to desegregate the armed forces and oppose civil rights platform, complying to now they are complying to the orders of Donald Trump. Back then they opposed President Truman. Now they're complying with Trump order. Go ahead and gerrymander. Y'all go ahead and find me votes so I can stay in office. Our vote does matter. This is the part I really want to get in and him home today. If our vote doesn't matter, why got the Section 2 of the Voting Act? Where there's a need to gerrymander district across, why is there the need to gerrymander districts across the United States? The vote does matter because the vote can change things and progress can be done. That's why it matters. Because if you don't vote, if you don't get out and do what you're supposed to do, if you don't get out there and support people, if you don't get out there and vote your conscience, it does matter. It does important to know that your vote will matter. It will count. But you gotta get out there and vote. And you got to register people to vote. South Carolina, and we're going to deal with South Carolina voting there, and this is where I'm from. South Carolina registered voters in 2024 and 2025. The registered voters in South Carolina, according to the South Carolina Education Commission, is 3.38 million registered voters statewide after the 2024 election. The estimate 2024 general election turnout by race was approximately 2.55 million voters cast ballots in the 2024 general election. The turnout was around 75% of registered voters. We still lacking over a million people who registered who did not vote. So let's go ahead and dig a little further into that and say the South Carolina registered voting data is said by race. Okay, the registered voter approximately shared that whites was 2.25, which is 62.29, which is 61%. Black Americans was who registered voted approximately was 949 at 25%. Hispanics were 134, 4%. Asian 33, 1%, and the other is 9% of 310. So the race who did not vote. This is what I can get me. Look at, they will say of the white people, 1.68 million didn't vote it. That was registered that could vote it. Black Americans, look at this. Of all the people that voted, of Black America, it was between 547,000 or in between 402,000 that was registered to vote that did not vote. Hispanic was the same way. And go and so forth going, which means there was a whole lot of people that were estimated that could cast a vote, but they stayed home. This is why this state in particular is run by the Republican Party. That's why they have a super majority up there in the capital of Columbia, and they can make any laws without penalty. They can do anything and ram it down our throat because they got nobody. The Democrats can't do a thing other than get to the microphone and encourage us to vote. See, it seems to me if you don't want to be oppressed, you don't want to live under tyranny, you don't want to be discriminated, that you will get your happy self out there and vote. White voters. White voters remain the largest voting bloc in South Carolina. It's between 73 and 75. Roughly 600 plus white registered voters did not vote. Black voters. Black voters are the second largest bloc, are extremely important political in South Carolina. Okay? Estimated turnout was lower than white turnout in 2024. Cause you fool with out there, your vote don't count. Yeah, it can't count because you ain't went out there and vote. About 400 black registered voters did not vote. 400 black registered voters did not vote. Black people, you gotta turn out in the elections. Not this one, but all. Black turnout especially dropped in some urban and younger demographics nationally in 2024. Man, you got to get out there and vote. What does mean politically? Let's understand when you do not vote, what happened? The law, what does mean politically? Non-white voters was 600K, non-white, non-black voters was 400K, younger unaffiliated voters, rural disengaged voters, newly registered but inconsistent voters, which means if you mobilize, you can get more voters to vote. If we mobilize and talk to the issues and talk to the concerns of the people, there is an untapped resource out there that is able to vote. So I'm gonna have to back up here. When we say here on this slide, we say did not vote. Out of the 547 people voted, but 402 people didn't vote it. So out of Hispanic and Latino was 78,000 people voted, but 58,000 didn't vote it. Out of the Asian, 19,000 voted, but 14,000 didn't vote it. The unknown was 225,000 voted, but 85,000 didn't vote it. We got to change these numbers. We need everybody to participate in this democracy. And that's the only way it's going to be a democracy if we participate in voting. If you don't vote, it won't be one. It'll be a tyranny, it'll be authoritarian. Here's some, here's some, here's some discussion from the past. Here's some encouragement from our past people. John Lewis said the vote is precious. It is also sacred. It's the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in a democratic society, and we have got to use it. He said you got to use it. God bless his soul. You got to use your power to vote. That's the only powerful nonviolent tool that we have is the ability to vote. Everybody must vote. Then the voice from the past echoing the present now. Malcolm X, if for the truth, no matter who tells us, I'm for justice, no matter who it's for or against. Malcolm X says that he's for justice. The only way to get justice, you gotta go to the vote. You gotta go to the voting box. You got to go. No matter who you are, white, black, brown, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Creole, wherever. If you are a United States citizen, register to vote, but also go and vote. And this is what Malcolm X says, and I like what he said. If something is yours by right, which is your vote, is your right, then fight for it or shut up. Don't complain when you don't vote and things goes against you because you should have went out there and vote. And it shows that South Carolina may not, the black and brown people may not be in the majority in South Carolina, but we are the large voting bloc. And we can have more representation in Columbia and perhaps in the up there in Congress in the white and the representatives of the United States if we get out there and vote. We don't have to have these people, these authoritarian white supremacists running the government. We can get them out of there. And we're not saying that all Republicans are white supremacists, but because you are a part of a party that is rooted and grounded in white supremacy since 1948, if we cannot, you can't just say, well, I'm a good Republican. No, if your party endorsed white supremacy, if your party endorsed the districtocrat, if your party endorsed segregation, if your party endorsed in tyranny, we must do like Malcolm X said, it's for the truth, no matter who tell us, it I'm for justice, no matter who is for or against it. If something is yours by right, my vote is mine by right, then fight for it. I'm gonna fight for it. If I ain't gonna fight for it, I might be hush. This is what the late Jesse Jackson said. If the right way has their way, and state rights control voting rights, then they will remove protections that may make it difficult for seniors to vote. It would be harder for students to vote on campus. And these are the attempts to suppress acts of voting. What are they doing now? So trying to suppress the vote. If your vote didn't matter, why did the Supreme Court Justice of the United States gutted out the Section 2 of the Voting Act? But here's hope. Jesse Jackson go on to say, at the end of the day, we must go forward with hope, not backwards by fair and division. Don't let them take us backwards. Move on with hope. Register to vote. Encourage other people to vote. Get out there and mobilize. Get on your podcast. Get on your Facebook Live. Do reactional video. Speak up. Speak out. Speak against the tyranny. Speak for the hopeless. Speak for the depressed. Speak for those that didn't have a voice. You have a voice. If you got a voice, use your voice. Yeah, Dr. Martin Luther King, voting is the foundation stone for political action. You can't have political action if you don't vote. Voting is part of the equation. And after voting is done, we got to put people in place that are going to make policy that going to progressively help and better the people's lives. And this is what Dr. King said, give us the ballot. And we will no longer have to worry the federal government about our basic right. In other words, if you give us the ballot, which they give us the ballot, we have the right to vote. We have the opportunity to vote. We are accessible to vote. If we utilize our vote, we can make an impact and a change, not just in South Carolina, but in the entire United States. Get out there and vote. The Alpha Phi Alpha slogan is a voteless people is a hopeless people. This is our conclude our lesson on the day on this special edition to what happened in Lincolnville, gerrymandering states from the past to the present. I hope this was informative. I hope this has challenged you. I hope this stir you up to get out there and do something. Get out there and vote. Register to vote. If you don't like discrimination, if you don't like exploitation of communities and stuff, you need to get out there and vote. I'm certainly for the progress for every human being because there is not a black and white race, it's a human race. And all of us in the same boat. And you can't hurt one and lift up the other because if you lift up one and hurt the other, you're still indirectly hurting the one that you lift up. But if we all lift each other up, if we all get on the same page, if we all understand that we all have certain rights, that inalienable rights, that now was not deferred nor given by the states, but it was God given. We all have rights. We have rights to freedom of speech. We have rights to voice our concerns. We have rights. So therefore, you must get to the poll. You must vote. You must vote. If you do not like what's going on now, get out there and vote. If you don't understand history, again, if you don't know history, we were bound to repeat history. So it is time to do something. Talking is over. We got to act. And we got to act progressively. We got to act, and we got to act with aggressiveness. We got to act. We got to act in love. And we got to act like we want change. We need change. We desire change. And we can make change. And this is Travis for the people. We for real change, real solution, and real results. Until our next episode, for Travis for the people, stay tuned. We are coming back on tomorrow with another episode to hope to encourage you, to strengthen you, enlighten you, to inform you, to instruct you, and invite you to bring your interest and inspire you to get involved. Until next time, this is Travis for the people.